Minnesota Safeties coach Danny Collins joins today's show to talk New York Giants safety Tyler Nubin, the team's second round draft pick. That's coming your way next on the Locked On Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's Locked On Giants podcast is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it's a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. My name is Patricia Traina, your host, credential member of the New York Giants media for Locked On, as well as for SI.com's Giants Country. Find us over on SI.com/NFL/Giants. And on today's program, I'm very happy to welcome in Coach Danny Collins. He is with the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and he is here to tell us a little bit about Giants' second round draft pick, Tyler Nubin, safety. A pick that I'm very excited about, one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in this draft class. Coach Collins, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Patricia.
All right. So, Coach, let's start off by just giving us an overview of what kind of a young man, what kind of a student athlete Tyler is.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing with Tyler is who he is as a person. That really translates to how he plays. I mean, we talk about this all the time. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And, Tyler has been a guy that has always done great in the classroom, is always doing stuff in our community. Family is a huge thing with him. His brother's, currently on our team right now. I know that was a big part of him coming back, playing with his brother. His mom and dad, unbelievable people. Rodney and Charisse just raised him the right way. And then him as a football player, I mean, he's a coach's dream. I say that all the time. He's a guy that's willing to do everything for his teammates, fights every single play that he's in, gives you everything he has. And I'm really excited for this next step in his future.
You mentioned his brother. I believe his brother's name is Jordan, and he was a freshman, if I'm not mistaken. How did having his brother on the team kind of, I guess, shape his maturity? He's only 22 years old, but I'm sure having his brother on the team had something to do with accelerating that.
Yeah, it certainly helps when you have your younger brother there to watch over him and to lead by example. And that's exactly what Tyler did. I mean, Tyler was always one of those guys that was the first one in the building, one of the last guys to leave the building, taking care of his body. So in terms of the maturity level and when doing what you have to do becomes what you want to do, we talk about that all the time in our program. Tyler's a great example of that. And I think it did help with Jordan being here of just that big brother mentality and then carrying that big brother mentality to the whole football team as he got older and older each year.
Now, Minnesota has a very good reputation for developing some top flight safeties. And I know one of the safeties that Tyler mentioned, as a matter of fact, I think he took the same jersey number as Decidal. He mentioned Antoine Winfield Jr., who I don't know if you were the safeties coach at the time, but I know you were on the staff. Can you just talk about, the development of the safeties, what you have witnessed, and why Minnesota is just able to produce such good NFL quality safeties?
Yeah, it's a position that we take a lot of pride in with Antoine and then with Jordan Howden, after him, and now Tyler, and they're all wearing that number 31 jersey, like you said. So we're calling it Club 31. So we're starting that up. So it's been fun to watch their development. But I think the thing that separates us from a lot of other people is how we develop them mentally in the classroom, right? Of, taking everything from the board and then bringing it out to the field. The preparation stuff, I think that has a lot to do with how these guys are being productive then on the field, taking it from the classroom onto the football field. And then it's a really fun position to play in our defense. We're a quarters-based defense. We do a lot of multiple things, but we blitz, we play single high, we play cover three. So the safety gets to do a lot, in that defense, and especially the free safety. And that's the position that Antoine Winfield was, and that's the position that Tyler just played for the last 3 years. But, having a guy like Antoine Winfield here and watching his process and how he went about his daily routine throughout a season, I think that helped Tyler tremendously. Tyler being the young freshman, behind Antoine that 2019 season, that was huge for him to see, Antoine's process and then take that process and carry it into the next 4 years of his life here. And you can see what he did here just in terms of the production and how he was able to improve every single year. I think it's huge to have guys like that in front of you that kind of set the standard. So Winfield set the standard, Jordan set the standard, Nubin now set the standard for the rest of the guys that are in the room right now and our current recruits.
Hey, Giant fans, it's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. And as a New York Rangers fan, I'm really liking the Blue Shirts' odds of going deep into this year's Stanley Cup playoff hunt. And speaking of the odds, there's no better time than now to get involved with all the action that sports has to offer. Right now, when you sign up for an account with FanDuel, you will get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If I understand correctly, Tyler had a knee issue this past season and he had some postseason, I guess, cleanup. And it's believed that affected some of his testing at the combine. Can you just talk about, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing he's a little bit better than what his numbers show, but do you think that hurt him in the draft, why he maybe fell from being first round consideration to second round?
I don't think so. I think sometimes as coaches and then as evaluators and recruiting and same thing in the NFL, what they're doing, in terms of evaluating, I think sometimes we put a little bit too much in stake with the numbers, just in terms of how fast the guy is, how high can he jump. At the end of the day, tape doesn't lie and the film doesn't lie. And I know this. I know Tyler running down on kickoff, he's always the first one down. And the question I always pose to people is, you have guys that are extremely fast and 40 times and things like that, but does that translate to the game? With Tyler, you can see a true game speed there, and that game speed doesn't change for him. I mean, he flies around 100 miles an hour. So I think testing numbers and all that, I think some of that's blown out of proportion a little bit. I think he's a steal in the draft for where he went. Like I said, I'm really excited about his future.
Did he do much blitz work or play the nickel in your defense?
So we didn't play him a ton at nickel. We played him majority of the time at free safety. Last year, you saw him play between free safety and strong safety just due to injuries last year. We blitzed him quite a bit. So we have a couple blitzes for the free safety and a couple blitzes for the strong. So he did blitz a fair amount of times. But he never really played that nickel position. Not to say that he can't. It's just for us, our defense, that free safety is just so valuable in our defense of what that guy does every single play. The majority of his snaps were at that free safety position.
In terms of his route recognition, how is he at that at this point?
Yeah, I think that goes into, like I said earlier, with the preparation. There's nobody that studies more film and watches more game tape than Tyler Nubin. And he's a pro before he was a pro. And he learned that from guys like Winfield and guys like T-Time, who's with the Bears, and Ben St. Juste and Jordan Howden. So I think his preparation helps him with that. Every week we always give them tips on 2x2, 3x1, different formations of what to exactly look for, who's in the slot, who's on the outside. quarterback set point. He's awesome at that recognition, and that allows him to then play faster. We say this all the time. If you're able to understand that pre-snap, and then you're able to take that first step in the right direction before everybody else, the angles change in your favor. And that's what Tyler showed throughout this season and last season.
Where can he grow in his game still?
I think there's always improvement for everybody. Tackling is something that we always have to work on as defenders, especially at DB when you're coming from space and you're making tackles, in a hard area, and pressing the hip and things like that. So that's always an area to improve, making sure your head's up on tackles, making sure you're not, putting yourself in a bad situation there. And then, coverage ability, that's always something that he can work on too. We didn't do a lot of true man coverage, in the slot with him. So that will be a little bit different for him, if he has to do that. So, but I know that he's going to work on that, and anything you tell Tyler to do to work on, I mean, he's going to be out there within 30 minutes doing it on the football field. So, he understands his strengths, he understands his weaknesses, and he's going to do everything he can to be the best player that he can possibly be.
All right, Giant fans, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. And the more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton of people include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or robot pachinko machines. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it right now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. What do you think his best fit is in this Giants defense? I know, they've got the new defensive coordinator there, so we don't really know exactly what they're going to do with the personnel that they have. But where would you advise if you were asked by Shane Bowen, where would it be Tyler's best fit?
Yeah, I think it depends on the coverage scheme. If it's a single high team, I love Tyler in the post. I think he has great range. He has great recognition of routes. He has unbelievable vision and break with the quarterback. So single high defense, I love him in the post. Split safety defense, I love him into the boundary, where he can play a quarter, he can play a half. Usually over there's a tight end that, he's man on vertical, things like that. And then him in the run fit, he's a great run fit defender. And, with his size and how big he is and physical he is, I mean, he loves contact. He loves to be in the run fit. So from that standpoint, a quarters based defense or a quarter half, I love him into the boundary.
Tell me about him as a person. I mean, obviously we know about the football stuff, but what's he like as a person?
Yeah, he's like I said, he's a coach's dream, and that goes with the character of him. We developed a really, really, really tight relationship and bond over these last couple of years, and to watch him grow into the person he is now. I mean, I talk about it all the time, him as a player versus him as a person. Like the way he is as a human being, like that's what makes him great on the football field. And it's just great to see him from, even recruiting him to where he is now, of just that genuine, spirit that he has. And then that competitiveness that he shows on the field too. I mean, when he flips it on and that switch and he crosses that white line, right? Like that, competitiveness comes out, once he comes off the field. Now he's that great smiling guy that you guys have seen now probably in the media and with the interviews that he's done. I mean, he's so charismatic and just great person. I can't say enough things great about him.
What advice did you, assuming that you're willing to share this, but what advice do you have for him as he prepares for this next part of his journey?
I think he just has to take the game one day at a time and one step at a time. And that might be coach speak, but it's real. It's a different game than it is in college. Just like when you go from high school to college and now college to the NFL, the game changes. The speed is a little bit different. The quarterbacks you're playing are all elite quarterbacks. We were fortunate enough this season to play 2 first-round draft pick quarterbacks, right? And now though you got to do that every single week. So that's a little bit of a change. Going against a receiver or a tight end that's the best in the world. That's what he gets to look forward to. But I know that that's what he wants. Like I said, I went back to that competitiveness. He wants to be challenged. He wants to play the best of the best. That's one of the reasons he came back was, we had the second hardest schedule in America, and he wanted to play against those teams. So I know that he's up for the challenge. I know he's ready for that. And my advice would be to just take it one day at a time.
And then final question for you. I always like to get to know these young men off the field, a story. And I know obviously you had his brother there, but just what's a nice little angle for him if I were to sit down with him, just to, mix in football with a little bit of bringing out his personality, who he is and whatnot. What can you tell me about him?
He's a guy that he doesn't how do I say this? Like he loves to stay within his circle. And that's his family, that's his girlfriend Farah, who they've been together for a long time, and I know she came out to the Giants facility after he got drafted with Tyler. So what I would say is, I mean, he's just always about family, and they're always around him, and I think that's the coolest thing in the world. He wants to share everything he has with the people around him. And that's what separates. I think a lot of time you see when guys get drafted or guys get to the NFL, they have these big entourages or things like that. Tyler has been a guy that has kept his circle pretty tight and has really cared for those people that have always been with him from the start. And I think that's just one of the coolest things about him.
And that makes for a good teammate, obviously.
That sure does.
Coach Collins, thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time. Good luck to you on your recruiting efforts. Good luck to you on the coming season. I know you got a lot of work you're trying to get done before then. Thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, Giant fans, that's going to do it for this edition of the Locked On Giants podcast. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Keep it here all week long. We're going to have rookie mini camp later on in the week. And I, of course, will have shows for you on that, interviews, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you are following me on social media, on X at Patricia_Traina, Traina. Also on Instagram and Threads at Patty Traina, PATTITRAINA. I will see you again tomorrow, Giant fans.